All right, so we're going to move on to a different type of inequality, and that's called a compound inequality. It is set up a little bit differently than the inequalities that you've seen previously, and we're just going to hop straight into just how to graph them, not worrying about solving any of them yet. So a compound inequality is simply just an inequality that has two different parts. And your two different options of how you're always going to be graphing compound inequalities are you're either going to have an inequality on a line that ends at 2 points. It could be a closed circle on one end and an open on another. Could be both closed, could be both open, or vice versa. Or you could also possibly have compound inequalities where they separate away from each other. And again, they could be, let's say this one's open, this one's closed. They could both be closed. That part really doesn't matter, but notice the difference between coming together between your two values or separating further away. You will never have an inequality where they are both going the same direction, because this technically will continue on forever, and it will essentially overlap and negate the need for that second inequality. So you're never going to see a compound inequality like that. You will, however, always see they're either separating away from each other or they're going to be coming together to meet in the same one. We'll go over this first example right here. -1 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 4. Now, when you see them together, you could also be separating these to help kind of see it a little bit better. So you may be able to write this as one inequality and then split up your x into this one. Now, this one is pretty easy to graph because the variable is on the left. Now, let's go ahead and flip this, which means we also have to flip the direction of our inequality. So we're essentially looking at an inequality statement where x is going to be greater than or equal to our -1. So I'm going to start with a solid dot. Oh boy, not so much of a dot right here on this one. Solid dot at the -1, and then the other one is a solid dot on 4. Now again, we're either going to have them go away from each other or come closer together. Well, since this says greater than or equal to the -1, that's going to be going to the right. And since this is less than or equal to 4, it's going to be going to the left. So this is one of those they meet together. All right. Now the next one, I put the wrong inequality graph on your tutorials. So just kind of look at the other graph that corresponds to the numbers that have the 600s. That should be the only one. It should be the one right below, if I'm looking at that correctly. So this one is an OR. You're given the two inequalities separately. And usually when they're the ORs, and that means they're not going to be meeting together, it's going to be this kind of separate away from each other. So let's go to this -612. X is greater than -612. Right here. And then the -608. You know, on your tutorial, this says and. I don't know why I typed the or. Just notice that. So this is not one of those separates. If it was an or, it would be going away from each other. But since it's the and, they are meeting together and they're open circles because they're not the equal to line underneath your inequality symbol. All right, so those are your two options. Just go ahead and plot the point where the number is equal to, and then you follow each one individually. You'll never have the arrows going in the same direction.